The Highway Life, based on a true story.
Coming along?
Mom said not to be taking a ride from no strangers.
This is the bus to the Highway Life.
I'm Bolo. Bolo Big.
I'm Joey Smalls. It's about to go down.
Yo, what is good, y'all? It's your boy Bolo Biggs, back in the house, back on the Highway Life. Welcome back to my 3 subscribers that have been with me through thick and thin. I appreciate you. So your boy went ghost for a little bit. Long story short, first it started off with the weather. Then, you know, I got issues, but you got them too. Basically, man, I got mental issues. That's no bullshiggity. I'm just trying to get myself together. Sometimes I got a dip. While I was dealing with that, I was dealing with some weight issues. When I first started this journey, well, fuck it, I gained about 60 pounds, 60, 75 pounds, maybe 80, I don't know. Anyways, I had to work on that. That's the one thing I could work on. The whole head issues, it just comes and goes. But I knew I could at least work on my weight. I've been putting myself together, building a whole new Biggs. I might go to Biggie Smalls myself. As of today, I am down 32 pounds. Can y'all see it? Fucking planes, come on, man, it's new season. Whatever. Anyways, long story short, I'm back, man. Today we're gonna be working on framing. Fuck it, let's just go. So I started framing without you guys. George came by, I think last Friday, and I figured since I had 2 hands, I would knock this out. This is gonna be a horrible explanation being that I've already done it. But this framing piece here sits slightly back than that piece behind the driver's side. Just for the record, this isn't permanent. I put this here because my fat ass is sweating. I gotta put boards up. Well, cardboard, just temporarily. Anyways, back to what I was saying. Typically, when you do a wall, you would do a long square piece, actually rectangle. Place your jack studs, king stud, your borders, your trims, your headers, and then you would actually cut the doorway. And then reinforce some of the framing. Now, like I was saying, it's offset, so I had to do it in 2 pieces. I wanted to line it up to my stairway. Again, the stairway is fabricated by the school system or whoever built the bus, so it's not squared, which I kind of had a tough time with. I don't use levels, and I'll tell you why in a little bit, but it is squared off here, and then it's off by about 1/2 inch on the other side. I had to go back and square everything, and what I did was use my floorboard, my ceiling, and some of the framing from the actual bus. Was the easiest way to get everything perpendicular, parallel, in line, and squared off. This is a better look at it. Now it looked like it's one piece, but again, this piece is a little about 1/2 inch forward. This edge is right on the rib. They both connect at the top with my header. It's not in place, that's why it kind of looks lopsided. But once I get everything figured out, the only reason I have my header and my floor base there is to make sure I was of equal distance for the doorway. This goofy looking trim here, I'm sorry, boarding, and on the other side, it is only for once I put my panels up, a point of attachment there and a point of attachment there so that my board is flush. This wall here slopes a little bit from the curve, so I put a wedge behind it. When I had framed this, I just assumed that I was square to the top to the bottom, but because of the slope, I'm off by about, I don't know, 3/4 to an inch. So all I've done is I've wedged it, and I kept pounding it and squaring everything off as I was going. Now I don't have a connection point here, so all I've done is taken another piece of wood lined it up, squared it off. I drilled it into my entryway, which had the 2x3 behind it, so that I had this to support, to lean against, so that I was vertically lined up, I guess is the word, and also an anchor point. So I've anchored it in this way. Don't worry about that piece. I cheat a little bit so that I have equal distance for height before I drill my pieces in. This board is not in place. I do need that piece there because when I run my wiring from the panel there all the way over across where the header is, I need that board there to protect that wire, because I'm using my wall to travel to this side of the wall to do my both my 110 and my 12 volts. For my daughter's seat, the reason why I put this wall here, first off, was for protection, for temperature control, and to close off the front to the rear. At seat level, she can see straight through. I'm gonna have to put another stud, board there, and then close that off, and then that's where the TV will be going. I do have to think now to place additional boarding so that it holds my TV and compensate for the weight. Behind the driver's seat, I did leave myself room. George, being the tallest person, can move the seat all the way back and just barely touch the back of this wall. I'm sorry, the back. If you see these slots here, I did it on purpose because once I put the wall up on the other side, I'll be using some of these areas as shelving. Not necessarily bookcase or anything like that, but I'll be doing nice panels so that I could use the inside slot. I might even put 1 or 2 electrical outlets in on the 2x4, just so I can hide some outlets. This is my electrical area. It is not permanent yet. I just wanted to see how much room I was working with. It probably most likely will stay there because I didn't want to cover my window. So this section here might come out about 2 or 3 inches unflush or flush from the actual wall. So the piece behind the driver's seat sits back that far, but the wall where the electrical box is actually sits forward about 3 inches, so that I could do the box flush to the actual framing of the bus for where the cutout was. Again, this box here will come out about 3 inches. I'll have a board, and then on the other side I will probably do a shelving for the couch area, and that'll make that look good. This bottom area where my daughter sits, it's actually gonna have a box probably about 6 inches up, 6 or 8 inches, so that she has a footrest, but also so that I can store shoes or umbrellas or whatever underneath. And then there'll be a wall there, and then she'll have a desk that comes out a little bit. I might put it on tracks to slide it towards her if she doesn't want to, if she wants it closer. Maybe she's working on a laptop. One other thing I like to point out, my header up top. When George and I were thinking about it, the reason why I'm coming down is because I can't make a door of that curvature where it would open and it would actually hit the ceiling. So I did a header for the top, so that whatever door I put in, slide or open or behind the captain's chair, it will clear the wall. I'm sorry, it'll clear that ceiling curve, which gets lower and lower. The great thing about when George was helping me with that header, I'm only 4'17", and I was like, well, make it 4'18", so that way I don't have to duck down when I come in, and y'all tall ass dudes, you know, good luck. With the back wall, I will actually show you guys the full process of how I'm gonna do it. For my back wall, I'm gonna do one big rectangle squared off wall from that point to that point to the ceiling and over. One piece, I'm gonna put it together, Once I figure out everything is squared off, I'm gonna cut the middle for my entry exit doorway. It's very important that your bottom piece and your top piece is as straight and squared off as possible. These are my 4 best pieces, but if you notice this piece here, it actually goes a little bit. So these are my 3 best pieces. I'm just gonna pick 2. One's gonna be for the bottom, one's gonna be at the top, and then I'm gonna use these other ones for the ones that for the studs. Okay, so I have my floor piece cut to length. Now you're gonna look at my wall, my passenger wall. It goes straight and then it starts to curve a little bit because of the emergency door, and then it goes straight up. So what I want to do, I'm a level, but not for that purpose. I'm using this particular level because it's the straightest edge and the most straight piece I have to measure with. If you look, coming off the wall, if you push at the very bottom, you see that gap as it goes up? That is a squared off piece. You see where it touches again? So what I am doing, I don't want my top long piece to sit here. I want it over some so that it's perfectly squared off, rectangle style. And I'm gonna use these 2 blocks that are hidden here to compensate for that. So I'm gonna bring it all the way over, and as you can see, there's a gap there. Mother trucker. It's because I'm not square to the ceiling. Okay, so I have my vertical piece, which would be the outside piece of the squared rectangle. These 2 pieces will become a bigger piece at some point. So remember that I could only come up to here before it starts spreading out, and then it touched again up there. I'm sorry, touch again up there. So in theory, when it's said and done, I'm going to use 2 blocks just like those to anchor it there, anchor it here, and anchor it at the top. That's what will hold my framing until I get everything screwed down. The piece that I've cut, I'm going to do exactly identical to the other side. This is the piece that I just showed you guys, the passenger side. I've cut the driver's side just exactly the same. Between where that sits there and where that sits there, it is 80 and 3/8. So that's what my top piece here all the way over is gonna be. Getting ready to lift it up, but before I do so, I need to add a few studs in the middle, which is where I'm at right now. So I know I want to cut, once I have it in place, I know I want to cut my my frame to for the opening of the bedroom to the same size as the rear door. But the middle of the bed will be removable so that I can still transport any large items or be able to move stuff in. Alright guys, I didn't record it, but we had a storm come through and I just stopped for like a couple of hours. But I have my bedroom wall in, well, the first parts of it. It is squared. I have not anchored it down yet, but here's the idea. Oh, excuse me guys. I had to move it back to the end of the window frame so that I have access to the screws. I will build around that. The opening is as big as the back door of the bus. I will be putting, sorry, that section there is too low. So I will be cutting that out, which was always the plan. I'm gonna put a king stud on the outside of that all the way up on both sides, and then I'm gonna put a header up top, just like the front. I will need one more frame to go all the way down to support the box that I need to make over the wheel well, so that I can put the toolbox on top. that'll help support that weight. Again, the part of that box will be fixed to the framing. And it was very important that I put that framing right there too, by the way, guys. That's underneath is where the main beam of the bus is. That was always intentional to help with the weight distribution. I will also put another stud here to anchor that box for that wheel well. Once I build the bed all the way around, it will also get anchored to that same wall. That's why, like I said, I planned this when I first got the bus, why I'm anchoring things to certain things is to help with the weight distribution and to help hold things up. Anyways, back to the framing. So yeah, I'll have to add a king stud there, a king stud there, a stud there to help support, a stud there to help support. I am done for the day. We'll have to pick up again. The video is all over the place, so it's gonna be a part 2 to framing, and then I'll show you what I'm doing maybe on the next episode of the couch up front, which is also will support the box, the framing of the couch area there. So everything goes together. I mean, there is some theory to my madness of why I've gone to the extent to get to this point. Alright, I haven't done an outro in like 5-6 months. Be good to each other. Your boy Biggs loves you. I'll see y'all on the flip side. Deuces. And thanks for watching.